Hello. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on the episode of the Agree to Disagree show, where we discuss about America falling apart at the seams. Yes, that's going to be the theme of today's Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. It's Thursday, February 1, 2024. My name is Brian Engelman, and that guy is Blake Walley. And Blake is with The Next Level News. Go to thenextlevelnews.com and also check him out on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley. Make sure you find the Agree to Disagree show in the New American Media in all of the places. Please, especially Spotify and Telegram or TNAM and TNAM chat, Rumble, YouTube, subscribe, all the places, please, because every day now could be our last episode ever before we're shut down on Facebook and YouTube again, because it happened during the last election cycle. So let's jump into the topics that we're going to cover on today's program. So we're going to ask the Agree to Disagree question and see what Blake and I have to say. And we want your comments below. Type them in, regardless of how you're watching us. Please contribute your conversation through your comments. It makes our program so much more enjoyable. So the topics we're going to discuss about California: have they gone full communist and lost to cult followers? Agree or disagree? E.G. and Carol's kangaroo court jury. Wait, that was not supposed to be on there.
This is last show, Brian. Oh my goodness. What's going on?
Yeah, that got a little wonky. Okay, we're also going to ask about illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. Are they above the law and should they be left alone? You know, we're hearing that from some people. We're also going to ask about Avraham Gil. Does he deserve diplomatic immunity for traffic crimes? Traffic crimes. Also, Mark Zuckerberg. Yes, he's a Borg, a cyborg, perhaps. Some people joke about him. Is he deliberately exploiting our children online? Do you agree or disagree with that? Also, Michael Cassidy, does he deserve a hate crime for vandalizing the bad guy? We'll talk about that. Also, Aidan Maese-Czeropski. Did I say that right? No. Hold on. No, I don't know.
I just wrote it. I didn't pronunciate it, so I'm not sure. He's the staffer in D.C. that was engaged in some extracurricular activities in the Senate meeting room.
Yeah. Does he deserve to have his charges dropped, like his pants and his boxers? I'm sorry, his boxer briefs. No, it's Fishnet Speedo Jr. So does he deserve to have his charges dropped?
Something, yeah. There you go.
Like the edible underwear underneath his sport jacket. Okay. Also, should Joe Biden stop talking to Elmo and close the border? And I think that's where we'll start today's program off, Blake. It's essentially going to look at that guy on top and try to figure out, do we have someone that's cogent and coherent and ready to rock and roll, or do we have somebody riddled with dementia? Let's get into today's program. All right. Well, there we have it, Blake. Do you agree or disagree that it's a conspiracy theory to suggest that Joseph Q. Biden has dementia? You know, it used to be funnier when I'd add like a random Q. I have my buddy Dave, and I call him David Q. But that was like before Q was a thing. Now it kind of blurs the line of the joke I'm trying to make. But anyway, Joseph R., right? Robinette. That's a normal name. Do you agree or disagree that it's a conspiracy theory to suggest that Joe Biden has dementia, Blake?
Well, I am going to disagree, since I'm not a paid hack, flack, or lackey for the DNC or Hollyweird or any of that kind of stuff. So no, it seems pretty obvious to most people. I think everybody, except for the paid people on TV, who are trying to convince you that he's still a viable candidate for another term. So, but this kind of ties into the headline from, let me pull this up, Paul Joseph Watson's new outfit, Modernity, and it's Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy. I mean, you know, the paths that these two have drifted apart on. I know they're best buddies, and I still listen to the Adam Carolla show. I think it's interesting. He's funny. It's insightful and whatever. But like him and Jimmy tied at the hip, and just Jimmy has gone so far into the Trump derangement syndrome, deep state web of things. I don't know. I can remember back to a time on the Man Show. It was kind of funny. Jimmy was kind of funny. I went to a live taping of Jimmy Kimmel to see 30 Seconds to Mars. This is way back when 30 Seconds was good and relevant. And so was Jimmy. But like, I don't even recognize that shell of a man and that shell of a show anymore. I tried watching it famously a year or 2 years ago. It was all Trump derangement syndrome, bitter, angry, venomous stupidity. I couldn't watch it. I watched it for the cringe factor. I couldn't believe it kept going. The entire episode was just awful deep state trash, Blake.
Yeah, it's heavily politicized. It's not like a regular late night talk show that I grew up with, watching Johnny Carson or Jay Leno. You know, they throw in a few things, but they're always going to make fun of the president no matter what. But now it's a double standard. Now you have to prop up whoever the Democrat is and trash whoever the Republicans are. So it's gone off the rails, and it's very unusual to see him making this suggestion. It's the irony, but we'll get into it. So Jimmy Kimmel suggesting Joe Biden having dementia is a crazy conspiracy theory. During his monologue, he said, well, what he said, weighed in on the assertions by Trump supporters that the NFL may be involved in promoting Swift as part of a voter recruitment strategy to help the Biden campaign. And that they've highlighted this many times. The media has played up the NFL angle to dismiss the entire issue, attacking conservatives who talked about it as unhinged cranks. Even the New York Times reported that Biden campaign does, in fact, have a Taylor Swift strategy that could involve Biden appearing at one of Swift's concerts before the election. But let's listen to Jimmy in his monologue.
Here's the thing, it's not just a football game. It's also a live game of Where's Waldo starring Taylor Swift, if you can spot it. I've been following, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's some serious crazy talk about Taylor Swift and Joe Biden going around right now. This is one of those things, you know, you expect to hear this from a couple of nuts and then it disappears, but if anything, it's picking up steam. The Not Too Swifties got it started like this, with tweets like this. The NFL is totally rigged for the Chiefs. Taylor Swift, Mr. Pfizer, all to spread Democrat propaganda. Calling it now, KC wins, goes to the Super Bowl. Swift comes out at halftime show, endorses Joe Biden with Kelsey at midfield. It's all been an op since day one. They learned the word op, and they're using it a lot. I've never been more convinced that the Super Bowl is rigged, what with all the unneeded, unwanted Taylor coverage at the games. Totally scripted. Next, Travis and Taylor together at the Super Bowl, appearing happy and in love, and they announced their support for Joe Biden. Coincidental? No, bought and paid for. Another one. My prediction, Super Bowl will be rigged, just like our elections. It'll be Kansas City and the 49ers. Kansas City will illegally win when the game. So the idea, even this clown who ran for president, Vivek.
Clown who ran for president. He's talking about
Ramaswamy. Added his.
I'd love to see Jimmy and Vivek go toe-to-toe on the show.
And Vivek would go on there. You know damn well he would go on that program.
Yep, and he would run Jimmy over with fat. It would be great.
Nut voice to the chorus of cuckoos. He said, I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially, culturally propped up couple this fall. Just some wild speculation over here. Let's see how it ages over the next. So let me get this straight, okay? The same people who believe Joe Biden has dementia and needs Kamala Harris to feed him butterscotch tapioca every night also believe that he has somehow planned and executed a diabolically brilliant scheme to fix the NFL playoffs so the biggest pop star in the world can pop up on the Jumbotron during the Super Bowl in between a Kia and a Tostitos commercial to hypnotize her 11-year-old fans into voting for Joe Biden.
This is so disingenuous, and he just treats his audience like total idiots. And
I wonder what audience there is, Blake.
I don't know why they'd watch that. I mean, I agree. I used to love the Man Show. I probably saw every episode, and I used to love his roasts. And even winning Ben Stein's money, he was a superstar. And then he sold out, took the big money, and now he's just shilling propaganda and pharmaceuticals. And now he's acting like, yeah.
Good.
Well, no, it's just interesting because he's always carrying water for the administration and constantly bashing Trump. He's obviously gone full partisan, and he's dismissing this, plot as a conspiracy theory when it was actually reported on that it was what they wanted to do. It was part of a strategy. So they want that endorsement. And they're saying, new voter registrations, Swift may have driven in 2018, Instagram followers, 280 million. The campaign, it says in the bottom, campaign eyeing a Taylor Swift endorsement. That's obviously huge for the low info people that don't pay any attention to anything. If you get one of your big celebrities, you get them in your pocket, you get control over them and have them, promote you and endorse you. And that's obviously a big deal. And so they are doing that. And they know it is. And it's sad because Jimmy's dismissing it while he's actually pitching it.
Well, he's not just dismissing it. He's trying to, it's so deceptive. I don't know. Like, how does anyone miss this stuff? I know you and I are a little bit more savvy to all of the ins and outs of political speak, jargon, brainwashing, manipulation, propaganda. Like, maybe we are just more hip to it, but like, and you saw you heard how he cleverly worked in, into the people that think the NFL's rigged. You probably think Biden has dementia too. Silly tapioca heads. It's like, no, that's another completely valid point. The guy's out of his mind. He does make an interesting point though. Like, is Biden a moron or is he evil? We had that same conversation about Barack Hussein Obama for 8 years, 9 years, actually 13 years since he's been on the scene. We've been talking. Is he stupid or is he evil? Because you can't make this many mistakes and claim it's a mistake. I would argue, and I have argued, and I continue to argue, that this is exactly what they want. They're succeeding on every level. There's no failure from Mayorkas at the border. There's no failure from Biden and Harris. This is exactly what they're told to do, and they do it. So I just loved how disingenuous this former, we're going to call him a former comedian. He's no longer a comedian. The guy's not funny. So this former comedian and that little line of, the same people that believe the NFL could be rigged, they probably believe Biden has dementia too. Yeah, we do, because our eyes are open and we see terrible calls from the referees all year. And then we see, by the way, just put a pin in this show, because they are big. The globalists, they are big mad that we are discussing this Taylor Swift story. We covered on the Tuesday episode of the Agree to Disagree show just how many terrible Taylor takes there have been, because they are so mad that we're calling it out. We don't want it force fed down our throats. She's not on the field. Stop cutting to her every few minutes. Now, to be fair, they did that much more earlier in the season than they have recently, because they've heard the backlash of football fans saying, please friggin' stop it. But during this, by the way, like I said about who even is the audience, we covered some new stuff with artificial intelligence the other day. Blake, you brought it to my attention, the George Carlin AI comedy special.
Right.
By the way, I went to watch it again because I watched the first 5 minutes and I meant to get back to it and I got busy. They took it down. Did you see that? They took it off YouTube.
Yeah, I think the family, George Carlin's family, gave some kind of cease and desist, and they ended up pulling it.
Cease and desist for what? They're doing an impersonation. You can't do impersonations anymore?
I'm not 100% all the details on it. It was an interesting thing to see that, but obviously it wasn't his words, and they're using this AI program. It was kind of fascinating, kind of creepy, kind of some parts were kind of funny. It was interesting.
Yeah, and I think I'll call it an impression.
Yeah.
Everybody can go out and do a comedic impression of somebody. That's all I view it as. They're not claiming this is George Carlin's lost tapes. But anyway, in that, one of the comments that I read, and it's something that really struck me even in the first 5-10 minutes, I did find somebody else re-uploaded it. I do intend to watch it. Someone said, the most unbelievable part of this AI generated comedy special is the audience laughter. And it's very fake. It's very fake. I can kind of get over the fact that it's not George Carlin talking, and I can settle into, yeah, that's Carlin-esque. That's close enough for me. But every laughter break and every little choppy moment of crowd interaction in between, it sounds fake. And on Jimmy Kimmel watching that, his audience reaction sounds completely fake, or 80% fake. There are some people, they are genuinely putting some real stuff up, but I can guarantee you they are peppering it full of fake audience reactions where there aren't laughs. Like it's straight to laugh track. This former comedian Jimmy Kimmel. All right, so the conspiracy to suggest Joe Biden has dementia, you would disagree?
Well, okay, let me take this quick step further because we don't have a ton of time here, but it's going to get shattered right here because of this James O'Keefe investigation. Gets a White House official telling all behind the scenes discussions surrounding Joe Biden's mental health decline and Kamala Harris's unpopularity within the administration. And here it is, what they can't say publicly. And I'll guarantee you, even Jimmy Kimmel, if you got him, pulled him aside somewhere else where he doesn't think he's being, viewed and, with friendly people around him, is probably not going to agree with what he just told his audience, that he thinks they're going to eat it up because they're stupid. Now, let's take a look at this part of this video here where there's another Jimmy O'Keefe.
Jimmy O'Keefe.
He's on another date, another grinder date.
A fine Italian, a fine Irish lad, Jimmy O'Keefe.
Yeah, there you go. So here he is speaking to this official, and they know exactly what's going on.
Going to meetings in terms of discussing and promoting the president's priorities.
Is he going to be the nominee?
Yes. And she will be the vice president nominee.
Yeah, I don't...
There was a debate about removing her from the ticket, but sadly they didn't. She can't keep black staff. They quit on her in...
That's a bombshell. She can't keep black staff. They quit on her en masse. And she's notorious for being awful to work for.
Some even call her a slave driver, like her family history.
All right, for another day. But here we go. And this is where he says, Biden, this is James O'Keefe saying, hey, he's got dementia. Let's see what this official thinks.
I know.
He's got dementia.
Yeah, well, he's definitely slowing down.
Well, they know that he has those issues.
I think so.
But they're not willing to say it.
Shows it. And
they're not willing to say it.
Polling shows it. They're not willing to admit it publicly. We all know it. But Jimmy Kimmel thinks it's a conspiracy theory. Thinks his audience is so fucking stupid they're going to eat that up. It's insane the way he pushes propaganda with a big smile on his face.
Probably.
And he'll endorse Biden all day.
Same thing with Kamala Harris. She's not popular, but you can't remove the first black lady to be vice president from the goddamn presidential ticket.
I mean, it just shows you how fucked they are internally. They know that they've got two of the worst candidates, and they're going to try to run them for a second term because you can't.
And who in the world, like this guy, this Charlie Krager, is that what that guy's name is? Who in the world cares about their gender and a black lady? Who cares about skin color and who cares about what's between their legs? That is the least important part of any of this. The guy's like, well, you can't remove a black lady. Yeah, you can. You can remove anybody who's incompetent and or criminally invested in running treason at the southern border as our border czar, the person you've designated in charge of it, letting the country get overrun. That's treason. Of course you remove that person. Oh, it's a black lady? If it's a white man, Mayorkas, it doesn't matter what you look like. The obsession from these racists on the left.
Well, I understand. They want to get a minority president, Brian. It's not that hard to see that. No, they don't want to remove her. Obviously, that looks bad for the Democrats. It's an identity politics issue, whether we like it or not.
And we should all hate it because it's ridiculous.
Well, I hear you, but what are they going to do? Replace Kamala with a white man? I mean, would you think that would be a good strategy going forward?
Yes, no. Kamala should be replaced by anybody. She's terrible.
All right.
Anybody. I don't care who.
Yeah, I agree. Well, he shouldn't be in there anyway. So they're screwed. They don't have a viable candidate. They know he's fading. He's got dementia. The polls are showing it. Internally, they know it. And so they use these idiots on TV like Jimmy Kimmel, who will, toe the line and say, of course, with Taylor Swift, they need that endorsement. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to do it. But so it just basically it blows up his point. And that's pretty much all I've got on that one, Brian.
All right. Well, let's kind of stick with Biden and pivot. Agree or disagree that he should stop talking to Elmo and close the border? Agree or disagree? Should Biden stop talking with Elmo and close the border?
Actually, I think it's kind of hilarious. But yes, they do need to close the border. They're not going to close the border. And instead, it's just another embarrassing debacle for this administration. So Biden's been getting castigated online for taking time to send a tweet replying to Elmo, a Sesame Street puppet, just hours after saying there's nothing more he can do at the southern border. So, yes, it's time to switch the subject. And here it is. It looks like it's satire or it's something out of Black Mirror. It's ridiculous, but he's talking about here we go, Elmo. Where did this come from? But this is another one. They're going to endorse. They got to get the Elmo endorsements, and they got to have the kids. The next generation's going to be screwed there too. So they're going to think Biden's the good guy. It's amazing that what they're just pushing on everybody. The young people, the TikTokers, Instagram, low info people, and the clapping seals on the Jimmy Kimmel show. So here it is. Yeah, Biden saying, our friend Elmo is right. We have to be there for each other. Help a neighbor in need. And above all else, ask for help when we need it. So, and here's that. Yeah, Joe Biden claims he's done all he can do on the border. That's a lie. Joe Biden took 94 executive actions in his first 100 days. That was one of the first things he did, his executive order, first day in office. It's basically trash the border, make it wide open. Now we have
so there really is no need to push any. They love to use these things. Oh no, comprehensive immigrant. No. Nobody's getting citizenship. Nobody's allowed to vote. We're not doing anything comprehensive. We're not kicking back billions of dollars to these illegal sanctuary cities, California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. No to comprehensive immigration policy. Zero. No. Everything that Biden undid just needs to be redone. That's your border policy. Get it in check. And the cities out there that are violating our constitutional, violating our immigration policy, our national immigration policy. No kickbacks to them. No extra money for hotels and services. Hell no. Zero. I don't know what the Republicans are even entertaining with anything. I think it was Peter Ducey. I saw a clip where he was asking Karine Jean-Pierre about this. I just want to be clear. Just let me be clear. We're pushing for comprehensive. No. Nobody's voting. Nobody's legal. No dreamers. None of this stuff. No. And no kickbacks to the cities, Blake. I mean, do the Republicans have the stomach to just say no? Undo everything you broke from Trump on day one. All your executive orders, undo them. That's your policy. We're not sending any more money to San Francisco, Chicago for your mess. Do you think there's any desire, any appetite for the Republicans to have a spine and do that? Or is this all going to get mixed together with Gaza money and Ukraine money and Hong Kong money? Is it all just going to be blurred together and it's all just going to disappear? It gets poofed into the sky?
I'm not exactly sure, Brian. It's almost like they don't mind losing as long as they can get the contributions flowing in and they can stay in office.
I have heard that accusation about Republicans quite a bit. However, Mayorkas, his impeachment is moving forward now, right? I don't know if you had anything to mention on that.
Yeah, we mentioned it a couple days ago, outside of like a Babylon Bee article. Yeah. That's all I have on Mayorkas for today. But yeah, I guess it's going to move forward, and we'll see if anything happens out of it. Might be too little, too late. I mean, it's going to be the elections around the corner.
Yeah. Well, speaking of around the corner, I like that point, Jocelyn. Elmo makes a better press secretary than Karine Jean-Pierre. Although she does have kind of Muppet hair. Is that a Muppet? Is Elmo a Muppet? Right? Muppet. Yep. All these little brands.
Muppet, Sesame Street character. I'm not exactly sure.
Sesame Street. Yes, that's what I was looking for. Sesame Street. Okay, yeah. Maybe not a Muppet. Anyway. Okay. Well, I mean, I could go a couple different directions. Stay on illegal immigration, but we're talking about kids. We're talking about Elmo. Let's talk about this. Mark Zuckerberg or Zuckerberg, as he's called, is he deliberately exploiting our children online? We're talking about Elmo. Let's stay in the ballpark here, unless I jumped past any additional piece of story you wanted to wrap up that one.
No, that's fine. We don't have a lot of time today anyway, but yeah, it's obviously a key story from yesterday, and an interesting moment when Josh Hawley called him out and told him to apologize to parents. But yeah, he was up on Capitol Hill, Mr. Zuckerberg, and yes, to answer and take questions. Republican senators, but this one on this article, it says the senators beclown themselves during a hearing with the heads of big tech social media platforms. Old complaints about big tech censorship of right-wing views have been replaced with whining about anti-Israel bias and accusing companies of not censoring enough. And so, yes, you got Ted Cruz blasting the TikTok guy. You got Lindsey Graham TikTok being used to destroy the Jewish state. It's pretty embarrassing, but yeah, it did have its moments. So I'll pull up this one. Senator Hawley humiliating Zuckerberg for lying how big tech hurts kids. Have had him publicly apologize for the addictive algorithms and practices. Of course, Zuckerberg, I guess he's on record as encouraging his kids to play outside and not use screens. Falsely claims social media doesn't damage many kids' happiness and health, saying mental health is a complex issue and the body of scientific work has not shown a causal link between social media and young people having mental health outcomes. But when Hawley pressed him about that, he doubled down. He said, I think it's important to look at the science. It's always people widely view this as if it's something that's already been proven. But I think the bulk of scientific evidence does not prove that. So I don't know. Talking about teenage girls struggling with their body images and the rise of anxiety and depression and for Instagram. So it seems to be known. They can have all these studies they want, but you can kind of pay for the information you want, or kind of look at it however you want to see fit. But here we go. Let's watch Zuckerberg apologize by saying there's no link with young people and negative mental health.
Mr. Zuckerberg, let me start with you. Did I hear you say in your opening statement that there's no link between mental health and social media use?
Senator, what I said is I think it's important to look at the science. I know people widely talk about this as if that is something that's already been proven. And I think that the bulk of the scientific evidence does not support that.
Well, really, let me just remind you of some of the science from your own company. Instagram studied the effect of your platform on teenagers. Let me just read you some quotes from the Wall Street Journal's report on this. Company researchers found that Instagram is harmful for a sizable percentage of teenagers, most notably teenage girls. Here's a quote from your own study. Quote, we make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls. Here's another quote. Teens blamed Instagram, this is your study, for increases in the rate of anxiety and depression. This reaction was unprompted and consistent across all groups.
Okay, and then let's see if this is the, I forget which one was the one where he stood up. Brian, did you already see this video?
Yeah, I did.
I'm overloaded here. I don't know which part of it is, but
That's your study.
Senator, we try to understand the feedback and how people feel about the services. We can improve.
Wait a minute,
them.
your
I think
own
those studies are-
study says that you make life worse for 1 in 3 teenage girls. You increase
Senator, that's not
anxiety
what it
and
says.
depression. That's what it says. And you're here testifying to us in public that there's no link. You've been doing this for years. For years, you've been coming in public and testifying under oath that there's absolutely no link. Your product is wonderful. The science is nascent, full speed ahead, while internally, you know full well your product is a disaster for teenagers.
Senator,
and yet
that's
you
not
keep
true.
right on doing what you're doing. Right?
That's not true. That's not true.
Let me
all right. I don't know. I can skip ahead and see if I can find the part where he actually gets up and stands up to the audience. But here he is. Here we go.
There we are.
money.
Take it off the services.
To make money.
And to build tools that empower parents.
So you didn't take any action. You didn't take any action. You didn't fire anybody. You haven't compensated a single victim. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry. Everything that you've done is terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
Okay, there we go. So yes, I think he knows what the internal polls say, but yeah, that they're making money, and it's easy to sweep under the rug when it doesn't affect you. But then once you get called out in front of it, and you see all these families showing pictures of their kids that committed suicide, it's pretty sad. It's pretty heartbreaking. But yeah, quite the spectacle there on Capitol Hill yesterday.
Yeah, and far be it from me to ever take Zuckerberg's side, because I hate his company, how it deleted our company page and silenced me personally and shut down our broadcast channels for the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show during the 2020 selection. But I don't know. There's a certain point where, I don't know, blaming him for a suicidal kid. I mean, it's all part of what caused what. Well, no, Facebook made her suicidal. Well, no, she was suicidal and she was on. I don't know any more than you drank water today, and therefore water makes you suicidal. It's like, well, yeah, other people drink water too, and they don't go suicidal. So I don't know about that, and like having to grovel and say you're sorry and give one of those kind of
it's weird.
Apologies. And it's kind of weird. What I am mad about is the censorship. What I am mad about is teaming up with their fascist ways. That's a blending of corporate and government influences to shut people down online who wanted to talk about the pandemic, who wanted to talk about the selection, who had opinions on things. We're allowed to have opinions in this damn country. And if you can't run a company that allows that, you can go to hell. So for that reason, Zuckerberg can go to hell. Pinning too much of this specifically on him, I'm actually going to take a step back and say some of this feels a little exaggerated or unfair. It makes me as gross as as it made me feel to kind of root for the Ravens against the Chiefs last week. I've never rooted for the Ravens in my life. It made me feel dirty even thinking it or trying to say it or type it. I can't believe I'm sort of defending Zuckerberg here for the first time in my life, but my God, maybe a little bit of over the top, Blake. Are you kind of with me on that? Or
yeah, no, that's exactly what this article is saying. It's a big spectacle. It's emotional blackmail, or Republicans achieving the impossible of making Zuckerberg look good. And so, yeah.
All right. Well,
not entirely his fault. Yeah, I mean, they certainly could do more, but sometimes you don't really know exactly how things affect other people, and you're just you're making money. And I'm sure there's a lot of worse things that happen on Facebook that he does know about, and that he insulates everything. So I don't know. We'll see what happens after this. I don't know, but I got like 8 minutes left, Brian. We got how many more stories?
All right, agree or disagree that illegal immigrants are above the law and should be left alone. How about that one?
Ooh.
A fun agree to disagree. Illegal immigrants are above the law and should be left alone. While Blake pulls up his article, follow him at TV's Blake Walley and The Next Level News. Yeah, look at this guy. We should be like Elmo and let people like this we owe them things. Come on in, attack our police, and flip us off.
Yeah, it's what it seems like. It's just in our face. Illegal aliens who attacked two NYPD officers in Times Square released without bail. And then the suspect just flicks off everybody as the cameras after leaving the courtroom. So this is Joe Biden's new America. So one of the illegal aliens charged with assaulting two NYPD officers in Times Square released without bail and photographed middle finger to the media. So
why are they being released? Why are they not being sent back to their country of origin? Why are they being released without bail? What in the world is going on, Blake? We're living in a cuckoo clock. Don't let these people out. You send them back wherever the hell they came from, and you start sending a message. You let them out for free? You let them out and not send them immediately back to wherever the hell they came from, attacking cops in our country after breaking in our back door.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's insane. This is no business. The Democrats have just lost their common sense, and they just seem to allow anything to happen. I don't get it. I don't get why this is normal. People are just they're out of it. I can't explain it. It doesn't make any sense. It's just like a dream you wake up from. And it's like, oh, it's a dream, but it's not supposed to make sense. But here we are.
That's what
open borders.
Every story on our docket is. Every one of these stories is a dream. It's a bad dream.
Yeah, so we got all these young people that have crossed the border illegally, and they were in entanglement. There was 8 of them going after 2 cops. They got arrested and then released. So
how you release these people, how you could live in a city that would release people like this back into your general population is beside me. Flee blue cities, flee blue states. Not a single dollar for these cities that are pushing sanctuary city laws to allow this stuff in your neighborhood. Not a dime more, not a day longer. Get out of there. And not a comprehensive immigration bill my ass. You're not taking our money and bailing out the cities that are encouraging this stuff to magnetize more police attackers in their cities. No, thank you. Get out of this. Was New York, right? So New York, get out of New York. We know.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Get out of New York. Escape from New York. Like the Kurt Russell movie.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's bounce to the next one. We just got 4 more stories, a minute and a half apiece. Aidan Maese-Czeropski deserved to have his charges dropped. Once again, in the realm of woke up in cuckoo land, woke up in Superman's bizarro world. Does this person deserve to have their charges dropped?
Well, sorry, real quick, I just want to pull this tweet up from Craig Price. He says, on the left is an illegal alien who beat the crap out of an NYPD officer, released from jail without bail. On the right is the father of 11 children who was arrested for praying outside an abortion mill. He was just convicted in federal court and faces 11 years in jail. So that's why I called this mental illness and double standards. Because
for non-violently praying, as they're butchering human beings inside of a building.
Yeah, they're trying to break us. They're going to destroy our country, and it's amazing how the left is just going along with it. And so here's another one of these crazy stories. You got this U.S. Capitol Police conclude investigation of the Senate hearing gay sex scandal. No evidence of criminal activity found. So here's your Aidan Maese-Czeropski, 24-year-old former aide to Democrat Senator Ben Cardin. And he had been broiled after making an explicit video in a Senate hearing room, and it appeared online. Wearing his G-string jockstrap, he was seen at the senator's desk and, I don't know, engaging in sexual deviancy with his some other guy. It was pretty weird. Anyway, I mean, I kind of respect that he, I think it's kind of funny in one way, but if you're going to do the crime, you got to, I don't want to say do the time, because I don't think he deserves jail time for it, but they should have some kind of a punishment, you would think, because what's to stop him from doing it again or somebody else? It's unbelievable. So
congressional
trespassing, yeah. They could say, trespassing or obscenity violations. There should be something used as a reason to deter other people from perhaps doing something like that again. But there's nothing. It's a complete double standard. But then they go after the J6 people. A lot of them were just totally peaceful, had no idea they weren't allowed to be there. They're getting thrown in gulags.
Right. Congressional aides. Okay.
Yep.
Aides in Congress. Okay.
Yeah, crazy.
All right. That was a play on words also. Okay, Michael Cassidy deserves a hate crime for vandalizing Satan. In another story of WT actual F.
Yeah, that's why. Let me pull one up. Christian veteran hit with a hate crime charge for vandalizing this creepy satanic altar in an Iowa Capitol. So, yes, we've seen this. I'll run part of this video. It's weird.
A display in the Iowa State Capitol placed by the Satanic Temple was vandalized.
We came down to see.
Look at this freak show lady, Jessica Cornish-Tilstra.
The Baphomet display at the Capitol.
This mother and daughter told KCCI they traveled over 3 hours in order to see it.
The mother and daughter, she's got this hoop earring or thing through her nose, and she's took a 3-hour drive to go see a satanic display at the Iowa Capitol. Is this person nuts?
A display in the Iowa State Capitol placed by the Satanic Temple was vandalized.
Visited
Came
by
down to
CPS.
see the Baphomet display
What
at the
a
Capitol.
creep.
This mother and daughter told KCCI
Mother and daughter,
they traveled over 3 hours in order to see it. They were disappointed.
I wasn't really sure what I was looking at first because it wasn't like in the picture that I had seen. It was.
Oh, she saw the picture. She's like, we're gonna drive all the way down there and go take a look at it. Worship Satan.
Shambles, to say the least.
Creepy.
Since the
I'm
beginning
not a
of
religious
December,
guy, but God, this is so fucked up. I want to show another quick tab. Speaking of like a freak show, this is wacko, one of the worst accounts on Twitter, Eyes on the Right, was saying, good, no charges for the porn video shot in the Senate hearing chamber, nothing on cocaine in the White House. Meanwhile, J6 is literally the largest investigation in the history of the FBI. But contrast that with this tweet where he's saying, good, man accused of destroying Satanic Temple display is now charged with a hate crime. And I didn't send this tweet. I was thinking about it. I had it printed, but then I don't want to deal with this freak show. It's like, yeah, these creeps, these weird influencers online, and it's just some like sock puppet. But then, yeah, hey, let's throw them in a gulag. Hail Satan. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I don't get it. It's living in a, as you said, Brian, cuckoo clock. I don't know, creepy dystopia. The left seems to embrace Satan now. It's wild. It's anything that's against, this classic white Christian America or Trump and the MAGA movement. They'll take anything, including satanic displays that have really no business being in an Iowa Capitol, I would think. And I'm not a religious guy, but still, there's got to be some kind of decency. I don't get it.
Yeah, Blake is on one today. Doesn't normally drop this many F-bombs. 2 more stories if we have time to get to them. We probably don't, but Avraham Gil in diplomatic immunity for traffic crimes. I'm sure you have a thought on that.
Yeah, it's another double standard. So here we go. It's an Israeli diplomat's son claiming diplomatic immunity after intentionally running over a cop in Florida. It's just like a second offense. So it's open season on law enforcement in DeSantis, Florida, as long as you're the son of an Israeli diplomat, 19 years old, intentionally ran over a police officer with his motorcycle because he didn't want to sit in traffic. And it was the second time that this dude's been pulled over, and he's got license plates. I think it says like they're taunting. Let me see if I can find it. But here, let's roll this clip.
Only on 10. A teenager facing a judge accused of running over a police officer.
We're learning the suspect is the son of a diplomat, and his attorney says he has immunity. Local 10's Christian De La Rosa is live in Sunny Isles Beach with the exclusive. Christian.
These are very serious charges against this young man, but we're learning these charges may end up being dropped because his father works for the Israeli consulate here in Miami. But this supposed immunity is under question tonight. This is 19-year-old Avraham Gil's mugshot. He was arrested after police say he ran over a cop. Sunny Isles Beach police say it happened over the weekend. The police report says an officer was conducting a traffic stop on Collins Avenue near 174th Street. The officer reportedly spotted Gil on a motorcycle weaving in and out of traffic and gave him loud, verbal, lawful commands to stop. The officer claiming not only did Gil ignore him, he says the young man on the motorcycle intentionally ran him over. The policeman survived, but detectives say his leg was incapacitated. Gil was arrested and charged for resisting an officer with violence and aggravated assault on a cop.
Okay. It's amazing. But I know it was the second time. They showed him, he got pulled over again, or pulled over months prior to that. So it's like, yeah, he's like this spoiled, rotten kid of this Israeli diplomat, and he thinks he can kind of do whatever he wants. And he might get completely exonerated just for that.
I don't know how you run over somebody with a motorcycle without flipping it yourself. That, like, logistically, that just seems difficult.
So what's worse, are the illegal immigrants that can just do no wrong, beat up cops in New York, or is it the spoiled child of an Israeli or a diplomat?
Well, we got those, and what about the third option? What about California's full communist push, and have they lost to cult followers? Final story, Blake.
Well, I'm gonna have to run on this one, but I'll just show you this clip because it's Joe Rogan, and it's a tweet from Anomaly. So maybe you can cover this one.
Take off. I'll pull this up. I can play it. I appreciate your time today. I know you're on a different
I didn't
schedule.
cover whatever. Sorry, I had to. Yeah, it was an early cut day, but maybe we can. We'll have to switch the format of the show, Brian. Perhaps we'll do a late night, more of a casual hangout, fun, cover the news type of show. We'll have a little more flexibility with our time. So, but anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, I'm out.
To be continued. Blake Walley. Where's the article that I pulled up? Gateway Pundits. There we are. See if this comes up now. Whoop. That did not come up now. Double clicking into the stream. Okay, that's really weird. Have the article pulled up, folks. And now it's gone. Let's try this a second time. Having a bit of a challenge. Okay, so showing on the screen, but it's not showing for me. Here, let me wave. Let me see what kind of... No, now it's gone. Yeah, having a producer to pull articles up would be so helpful, especially when it freezes. All right. So he tells Joe Rogan he's no longer on the left, and he reveals what made him say, "I can't do it anymore." Stand-up comedian, actor, and podcaster Bobby Lee, known for his appearances on shows like Mad TV and films like A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas, is not exactly what one would call a family values conservative. But during an appearance on Joe Rogan Experience with podcaster Joe Rogan, Lee admitted that he's now in what he considers the middle politically. During the show, Rogan praised regular people from Boston and admitted that he used to be a part of the blue bubble and was 100% a left-leaning person who lived in Los Angeles and who never voted Republican, especially with any social issues, although he said he was a little more conservative when it came to financial issues. Yeah, you say that now that you have some money to spend. What do they say? If you don't vote left when you're young, you have no heart. And if you don't vote right when you're old, you have no brain. I don't know who we can attribute that to. Okay, I was finally able now to pull this up. When Blake left, it just slowed the program down into like a crawl, but I think we're still surviving here. Yeah, so here's Anomaly saying Joe Rogan says California's gone full communist and Bobby Lee in the middle. Let's play it.
Austin people, they're nice. They're not nice. They're not shitheads. They're not Hollywood people. They're not lost in this fake world of leftist ideology that everybody's trapped in.
People.
They're just people.
Okay. Well, It doesn't want to play. I can only play you what feels like playing on my computer.
Just regular people, man. And those people exist outside of these 100% of left. It was very left-leaning.
And it's happening across Oakland. Oakland lost the Golden State Warriors. Oakland lost the Raiders football team. Oakland lost the Oakland Athletics baseball team. They lost, there was a In-N-Out Burger that shut down there the other day. They just lost, God, what was I watching? It was somebody from the Squad, one of those idiots in the Squad in Congress. It's like they come up with all the worst ideas and they say, yeah, let's repeat these a bunch. Complaining that I believe that was another store in Oakland, like a Walgreens or something that shut down. Oh, how dare they shut down? And then they try to say that the aggrieved status of this community, they need this. Well, if they need it, they wouldn't be robbing it blind. In-N-Out said we can no longer have our staff here because their cars are getting broken into in the parking lot. It's not safe for our employees to come in. It's not safe for our customers to show up here and dine here. Fix your cities. There's nothing complicated. God, we had this guy. It's what Rogan's talking about. In Los Angeles. Crime after crime after crime. The guy would not stop. He was a junkie and he just trolled the whole neighborhood, breaking in everywhere that he could, stealing anything that wasn't bolted down, getting into fights, eventually attacked a cop. We said, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God he's finally arrested. They let him out on the street the next day. Let him out on the street the next day. And I decided I was getting out of Los Angeles shortly after. And I don't miss it. I'm not embarrassed to have left. I think it's a damn shame what they're doing to that city, what they're allowing people to do to the city. It doesn't have to be this way. It's so unnecessarily disgusting. It's frustrating, like especially that New York story, watching, what did he say, 6 to 8 people beat up 2 cops? You arrest them and they're illegally in the country. You don't immediately send them back to Mexico or wherever else they came from. But if they're coming in on the southern border, you send them back to the southern border and you let Mexico handle it. And you say, Mexico, wherever they're coming from to get to this point, you need to take them back further from there. We're not doing this anymore, except it's what Biden and Obama want. Is this what you want? You know, you think back. I was reading a meme today. It's like reading the cartoons of the day, 80s, 90s. And they said Back to the Future would never be able to be made today. Because if you sent somebody back 30 years to the 90s, they'd never want to come back here. It's like we're living in a cuckoo clock and America is falling apart at the seams. Let me let Joe Rogan continue a little here. Yeah, because Giuliani knew it was the broken window theory. I had this conversation with a neighbor today, discussing how it's so much nicer there's an intersection close to where I'm at, and it looks like there's been some sort of a collision, and there's debris in the turning lane, and it's been there for over a week now. Actually, I'm making a note, because either I need to go clean it, or I need to call the Public Works program, or find the app on my phone and submit. But in Los Angeles, I had that app every single day. Every single day. I mean, you had to call abandoned vehicles, graffiti, vandalism, burnt out light bulbs, bulky items left out at the curb, large trash left out at the curb, homeless encampments. Like, if you did not constantly call on every one of these things, nothing happened. And like Giuliani said, if you have a warehouse and somebody breaks a window, you better fix that window. What do you mean? It's just it's one window. There's 1,000 windows. He goes, you come back tomorrow without fixing that window, there's going to be 10 broken windows. Leave it there for a week. Every window that they can reach is going to be knocked out. But if you fix it every single time they do it, you eventually beat them. You eventually defeat them. And you got to arrest the criminals that are violating all the laws, all the trespassing, all the loitering, all the graffiti, all the gang activity, all the breaking and entering, all the violence, the theft, all of it. It's the same handful of idiots causing all the problems. Vince says it's La Vida Loca. It is the crazy life. He continues, it's an 11th hour wake-up call for this guy, talking about Bobby Lee and Joe Rogan, actually. I mean, I remember Rogan. I remember the day. I remember where I was. I was doing, I was mowing the lawn. And I was going from one part to the, I remember, and it was Rogan. I really haven't listened to his podcast since he left YouTube. I used to listen all the time. When he went to Spotify, I just really didn't follow it. A couple episodes here or there, but I used to listen a lot. Now I don't really as much, but I remember when he said he's finally leaving California. And I met Joe. I met him before a performance. Tried to get a quick interview, but he was kind of in his mindset, trying to get his head right to go on and do, I don't know, he was doing a headlining act. 30 minutes? 45? I can't remember exactly how long it was. Did try to get a quick interview. It wasn't the right time, though. But yeah, I mean, I remember him saying he was leaving as I was making the transition from Los Angeles to the hell out of California. And I was in the sun, I was sweating, I was doing the yard. And I was just like, good for him. Now, of course, he just signed that huge Spotify deal. So, you know, if I can find one of these great deals myself where I can be syndicated, I wouldn't mind moving either. It wouldn't be so difficult. But, you know, for a lot of people, moving is not an easy task. It takes a lot of money to uproot your life. You got to find another job. If you have kids in school, there's a lot to consider. But it's not the people who've left the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left people. All they are is the crazy wing of all their worst ideas. Wait, you're saying you can't hear? Are you saying you can't hear the video? Dreamer, I'm playing it. It says it's sharing. It's showing up on my screen. It's showing that it's playing. If anybody else cannot hear the video, let me know. Joe Rogan is explaining cult-like behavior. Now just out. Jocelyn chimes in, he should be deported immediately, never allowed back in the United States. Violent activists tore down dozens of statues, including Columbus, Jefferson, and Washington. None were held accountable or charged with a hate crime. Exactly. So it's cool to have sex in the Capitol building and film it as long as you have access. Am I getting that right? Illegals know they're above the law from the moment they set foot in this country illegally with the blessing from the federal government. And yeah, body language says that Zuckerberg is... Oh, Jocelyn can't hear it either. Oh, that's the weirdest thing. Well, look, I'm going to have to bail on the story then. What a weird damn thing that you can't hear. Here, I'm going to refresh it and see if it goes back to 208, if I can play this. Because Joe Rogan is talking about cult behavior. And I think that's an important point that I would like to leave you with on today's program. Let me kind of back. Take that, rewind it back. On to the bit go or something. Take that, rewind it back. All right. Let's see if I can wait. And tell me if you can hear this. Back a little. I feel like this is a different clip now. Okay. I don't know what this clip is. I'm trying to find it for you guys. Okay, this is like a whole different clip here. You guys hear this? I saw you say yep, but I'm not entirely certain I'm saying yep to. Okay. Bear with me here. All right. We're back to this AJ tweet. Let me get it to 2 minutes. All right. Tell me if you can hear this now. That they're in a cult. Can you hear that? No sound still. All right. Well, no sound still. This is the weirdest damn thing. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, these once great cities have been destroyed. Some hardcore Giuliani type MF and knock some heads. Nobody wants that because they're peace-loving granola and effing wearing a mask. Yeah, it's like a cult. People in a cult will attack you, not for reasonable beliefs, but like someone attacks religious beliefs. As an example, he cited men claiming to be transgender to use a women's public restroom and pointing out that creeps and pedophiles are real. It doesn't mean trans people aren't real also, but those guys are effing real. And even to say that those guys are real, you get excommunicated. You get treated like you're a Nazi. Never even cared about it. Yeah, I mean, whatever you want, I'll give it S, you know what I mean? But it's like, I can't do it anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of people who have completely abandoned this left-wing train wreck. And I don't know. I don't know how we pull out of this, people. I'm trying not to be black-pilled. I look at the map of the world in front of me here at the studio. I look at the map of the United States, and how many millions of people have been flooded into this country? How has it taken this long without impeachment? If you allow people to vote for more of this nonsense, there literally is no country left. Anybody that would allow your friends, family, and neighbors to be attacked by violent thieves, dangerous, sketchy, drug-riddled zombies has no business being near you in your neighborhood. These people in charge need to be driven out completely. It's not complicated. You arrest the people that will not take a hint. You know, it's like Blake said, I don't know, that gay sex guy in Congress. We don't need him arrested, but he needs a fine. He needs to be like some sort of, there needs to be something to prevent more of this. And there should be some sort of an escalation. You know, someone does some stuff and it's not particularly harming somebody else, or it's not all that bad. You get, you know, there should be a series of slap on the wrist, wake up call, cold water in the face type moments where you have a chance to just kind of go, I don't know. Like, if I had a chance to do that 100 times, I don't think I would do that 99 times. I don't know what got into me. I made a decision that I'm not particularly proud of. I think there's a lot of good people out there who could say something along those lines. I'm not happy with how that turned out. That's fair. But when you get into violence, rapes, you know, armed robbery, violent assaults, there is no sliding scale of forgiveness. There is no working it out. You attack 2 cops as an illegal, you're gone immediately. Just none of this stuff makes sense. Protect Satan and protect abortionists. I feel like those 2 stories are slightly related. The guy was praying and he faces 11 years. Did he burn a building down? Did I miss that part of the story? Did that guy attack the abortionists, the ones killing the children? Facing 11 years, but you can attack cops and you get let out free. Not even a bail. Just, you know, see ya. It's a point where you're just flicking people off on the way out and you're laughing about it because nobody's going to do anything. Reminds you of that guy, I believe that was in Arizona, driving around and just hit the guy on the motorcycle for fun, recording it, laughing about it. People like Rogan and Bobby Lee are starting to wake up slowly, 11th hour. But my God, you got to get a little louder about this stuff. And you need to be courageous and use your voice to encourage more people to leave that party. It's a terrorist organization, the Democrat Party. They haven't been a viable, legitimate political party in the United States in quite some time. I don't know how far back we have to go. We could go back to when Obama was using phony FISA warrants to spy on candidate Trump. I think he ceded all of his party's legitimacy in that fell swoop. That's a completely rogue government turned on itself. Obama with Lois Lerner, weaponizing the Department of Justice, the IRS, all sorts of divisions on their political enemies. You lose credibility as a governing body when you engage in those type of tactics. That's interesting, Lone Wolf. I think he was saying he's overrated. I don't know if you meant Bobby Lee being overrated, Anomaly being overrated, Joe Rogan being overrated. But you did say he's overrated. But you also said Mayor Giuliani for VP. Now that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, but if you talk law and order, I know Blake was mentioning that Giuliani has some problems surrounding him. He's got some baggage, and you know, I mean, try having an opinion in the last 10 years and not being targeted for something. I'm not sure how much of Giuliani's stuff is legit and how much of it is as silly as the E. Jean Carroll case. I mean, Donald Trump, President Trump, candidate Trump was not even allowed to present almost any defense. He wasn't allowed to point out the obvious reasons why you can't take that story legitimately. She was wearing a dress that didn't exist at the time. She doesn't know when the time was. She doesn't know what year it was. Like the basic components of this, and the whole storyline was Law and Order episode. Being financed by, what's that guy's name? The head of LinkedIn. I'm forgetting the guy's name now. Hoffman? Reid Hoffman, maybe? When you can't even put your evidence out there, when you can't even put a self-defense case together, there is no validity to the kangaroo court. The court cedes its authority when it ceases to operate as a free and independent, impartial jury of your peers. What they say, the prosecutor was the mentor of the judge, or the judge was the mentor of the prosecutor? The judge and his wife being so rabidly anti-Trump? That's a clear conflict of interest. You cannot be associated when you have a clear conflict of interest, or else it's not a legitimate sentence. And they said, when President Trump came out and said, I've never met this woman, none of this stuff happened. They're like, oh, that's slander. What, you can't defend yourself? Yeah, so he should owe $24 million. Then they go back, make it 48, make it 63. It's like, make it 1 trillion while we're at it. They're just pulling these numbers out of nowhere. And you can have your thoughts and opinions on what Alex Jones had to say with Sandy Hook. You can think that he went too far. You could think he believed bad information. You could think all sorts of things, because we're still allowed to believe whatever we want in this country. Last I checked. But what did he get sentenced to? $1 trillion, $1 billion, $1 quadrillion? At some point, the numbers are so absurd, you throw your hands up. You're like, if you were going to sentence the gay sex guy in Congress to life imprisonment or a death penalty, you would say, okay, that's a little cruel and unusual. That's a little much. When you over-prosecute people without evidence, that's a little too much. And this whole system has jumped the shark at this point. And I just hope people like Joe Rogan and Bobby Lee, and I just hope that they will be vocal in saying this out loud, because this Democrat Party is a clear and present threat to the United States of America. You can't go to an airport without having to take off your shoes and present identification, but they're letting illegal alien invaders go through special lines. They don't even need to have their picture taken. They don't have identification. They don't take off their... You have no idea what these people are doing and what they're carrying. And remember, we're coming out of a period in time where this Biden government was trying to tell you, you can't drive, you can't work, you can't fly unless you take this experimental thing injected into your skin. None of these millions of people invading the country have these same recommendations, or not even recommendations, requirements. No, but this is all totally normal. We're supposed to believe this. None of this is legitimate. And it just feels like we're in a cuckoo clock, and America is falling apart at the seams. So, I don't know. Today's show was especially weird and frustrating. It's like up is down, left is right. Be someone just trying to be like, yo, life is kind of good. Let's be here and sing some songs and try to spread the word. You know, trespassing or not, like facing 11 years, that's cruel and unusual for that. Like that doesn't even remotely fit getting your hand slapped when you're in a non-violent situation. All right, now if you take the killdozer and knock over the building with people inside of it, you've escalated this to a different level. Oh, you're firebombing it like you did the church when Donald Trump was in office. Remember that? Where were those hate crimes, by the way? Hate crime against a marionette puppet of Satan. Oh, okay, yeah, that must be defended at all costs. Okay. But all this human trafficking on the border. No, I guess that's all fine. I don't know. That's all I got for you today. These are just the stories. I give you the stories as I find them. And this stuff has gotten ridiculous. Just have a few more conversations with as many people as you can. Just urge them to vote against the Democrats, because this party does not care about this country. The Democrats do not care about Americans. Mayor Giuliani for VP. I don't know. I'll reiterate my call to President Trump again. There's really no strategic advantage to holding on to your delegates or your cabinet members at this point. Name them and release them and let them go push your message of MAGA out there. They get so wrapped up on Orange Man bad. Just send everybody else out there to speak the message of MAGA in the places that need it. Turn these purple states red again. Demand voter identification. You know what you have to do. But also brace and prepare yourselves. Because if you think there's not another shoe about to drop, some sort of economic collapse, some sort of Agent X, Disease X, a power grid failure, banking failure, currency collapse, water supply infiltration, power disruption, supply chain, food, toiletries. Take a little bit of time and get some of the books that you need in hard print in case the internet that's not up. Get some water purification, some self-defense, some long-term storable food. Get a plan in place. Connect with some of your neighbors. Get ready now while you still can, people. Because none of this stuff makes sense if status quo will continue. If status quo is allowed to continue, the Democrats are going to get swept out in the biggest tsunami in political history. But if they find a way for all these illegals to vote, it's game over. If they find a way to crash the system and do mail-ins again, never again. Never again. But it just feels like they're going to have to try something stupid, something large and stupid to get through this, because anybody paying attention resoundly, resolutely, emphatically is calling out for help. It's the reason why the New American Media logo is now an upside down American flag. Because we truly are a nation in distress. But we're going to keep presenting the news to you here on the New American Media as long as we can. And I ask that you sign up and follow us and help us however you can. If you go to patreon.com/the New American Media, you can sign up. Yeah, Lone Wolf says he thought the midterms would bring a red wave, and it didn't. I know. It should have been bigger. You got to get Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona. You got to get the voting procedures in these states and counties fixed. Maricopa. Pray for America. Non-denominational prayer if you want. But we are kind of at the point where it's like, what else can we do? We've been screaming from the rooftops for how damn long? I don't know. I still believe there's going to be a big red wave because there has to be. There is no America without it. So it's important. And if you'd like to, what we do at the New American Media, we do have our patreon.com/the New American Media. You can subscribe to help us out. It chips in a few bucks each month if you click the button. That's all super appreciated. We've only I won't bore you with the story of Patreon, but it's been a love-hate situation, being logged out and logged back into the accounts, but it looks like the balances are accumulating again. So if you like the New American Media, go to thenewamericanmedia.com. That's our homepage that is getting rebuilt now. But patreon.com/the New American Media. If you'd like to do a good deed and drop some ducats into our wishing well. We're also on Truth Social, the New American Media. On Spotify, our podcast is the Agree to Disagree Show. Subscribe to it. Click thumbs up or hearts or hundreds, whatever you're watching on. Click the button that shows some engagement or leave a comment. The algorithms like that. We have our new Rumble channel. It's our backup to the YouTube channel. And we also have things on Odyssey. So I believe it's rumble.com/the New American Media. I'm not sure how that works entirely, but find us and subscribe on Rumble. Of course, everything is on youtube.com/the New American Media. And then all of that's been backed up onto Odyssey. I think it's odyssey.com/thenewamericanmedia. On X, we're at American_media_. On Telegram, we're at TNAM for the New American Media, TNAM. We're at TNAM and TNAM Chat. That's our backup to Facebook. On Facebook, we have a page, The New American Media, and a group, quotation marks, capital TNAM, apostrophe, lowercase s, The Agree to Disagree Show, capital TADS. I feel like if you don't type it exactly, quotation marks, Facebook will not let you see our private group, but find the group. Ken's joined the group, and I think Vince is in the group. I'm not sure who else is on Facebook, but find the group and the page. Also on Instagram, instagram.com/thenewamericanmedia. All of that jazz. Follow Blake. He's on X at TV's Blake Walley and thenextlevelnews.com. So, yeah, Lone Wolf, I thought there was going to be a red wave too, and it wasn't enough, and we need more. So we need to go spread normality and common sense out there as much as we possibly can at this moment. So it's up to you now. I'm doing my part. Every week we're bringing you more of the stories that you need to know about. But yeah, prepare your life and pray to whoever or whatever it is that you meditate upon, and put your intentions out into the universe, because we might need it. We need that red wave big time. And I say we, I'm not a Republican. I don't like the Republican Party. The Republican Party's been almost as corrupt and feckless as the Democrats. Just once again, the Democrats have gone so bonkers. They've invented new levels of nonsense that I could never support. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Special thanks to Blake Walley. I appreciate each and every one of you watching today's program. Do all the things. Subscribe. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.